Have you ever thought about what the European Union can offer? Are you for or against the Union? Did you hear a lot about undocumented people coming to the EU hoping for a better life? Have you debated heavily about it at your Christmas table? Well, today is a day where we are going to fact-check what this crisis is really all about and give you an insight on EU policies about immigration and how it affects people. On the menu today, we're going to meet with different organizations and people. First, let's go hear what some EU citizens have to say about the matter. Come with me.
An association of different people to deal with common problems.
For me, the European Union represents free trade.
The European Union is a simple place to travel.
Free circulations of people, vehicles between the different countries in the Union.
To me, it represents the economical and political alliance between countries in Europe.
It is the way we have to organize ourselves to be able to combat the current but also the future problems that we'll have to face, and the problems that I don't believe the nation states on their own can solve, like for example climate change and safety.
Honestly, I don't know a lot about it since I don't live in Europe, but for what I've heard, it's really bad and we need to do something about it.
I just know that many people dream of living in Europe.
It's a phenomenon that has divided the European Union, but I believe the right decisions have been made for the best of humanity.
The migration crisis is a big issue for European governments, as the politics are not the same in each country.
Historically, Europe means land of welcome, but maybe today it's not the same thing.
I don't believe that the EU is doing a satisfying job. I believe that the European Union is doing whatever it can with the power that it has been given by the member states, which is almost none. So it's not the fault of the EU, but instead the member states that are being selfish and naive.
There are organizations for migrants, but I think that the action remains weak.
From my point of view, no, but at the same time, I know they are doing something, even though it doesn't look like they are doing something.
Yes, because a different approach to an issue always has positive results.
No, I don't think the European Union is doing a satisfying job, as every country is trying to get rid of migrants from their own territory.
I think the real problem is the capitalism system, and we should accept every people all around the world who won't enter in the country.
Yes, they should accept undocumented immigrants at its doorstep.
I don't believe that we should welcome undocumented immigrants, no. I believe that we should allow people to enter legally, as not to criminalize these people for fleeing or for looking for a better life.
Definitely under conditions and through necessary actions to guarantee their integration.
It's actually really difficult to answer because I want to say, yeah, of course, let them enter, we should take care of them, we should help them, we should save their lives. But at the same time, we can't even take care of our own homeless people, so what we're gonna do with migrants?
Well, now that we heard some interesting opinions, we noticed that a lot of them are focused on the alliance and the cooperation between the states, like Theo and Alice mentioned. Also, the economic area was brought up by Elia and Simon through the idea of trade and free circulation. Regarding the migration crisis, we notice a homogeneity of opinions, pointing out the issue behind it and the necessity of actions from the EU. Lastly, the question to welcome or not undocumented immigrants is a complex issue which cannot be answered easily. Now, thanks to all these informations from the population, we have an idea of the perception of the EU citizens on the matter. But it shows that we have to clarify and explain some concepts.
Indeed, we can define some of the terms used here. First, let's talk about the difference between Europe and the European Union. Europe designates a continent of 45 states, including Russia, with more than 739 million inhabitants. But the European Union is an international political and economic organization of 27 states, slowly built from 1951 with the European Coal and Steel Community to 1993, establishing the actual EU. The EU has many institutions, but it has 3 institutions deciding and voting for laws that will then be applied to all of the Union. There is the Council, the Commission, and the Parliament. The Commission prepares and proposes texts which will then be discussed, modified, and voted by the 751 European deputies. The Council will then take on the next step by validating them. Finally, a vote with the 28 member states' chiefs, their ambassadors or ministers, will take place, and unanimity will be needed in a few cases. Diplomacy, fiscality, for trade and environment, 2/3 majority will be needed. In the end, the Commission makes sure European laws are well applied. This system can seem complicated, especially when the Council, the Parliament, and the Commission are not located in the same city, but it enables a fact and check system. Indeed, the Council and Parliament are in Strasbourg, France, while the Commission is located in Brussels, Belgium.
Therefore, the European Union does a lot in different sectors. The EU is a place of political debate, of legislation, and had faced many crises. One that we can mention is the COVID crisis, where the EU was able to negotiate vaccines for the whole of the EU, even though it is not part of its dedicated missions. What we can see with these situations is that the EU can adapt itself to the new world environment and react accordingly to new issues and threats. There is also the very recent Ukraine crisis that is impacting the EU as well, but the situation isn't certain right now, and only time will tell us the long-term consequences for the EU. However, that doesn't mean that some issues are not difficult to solve. The migration crisis, as understood by the Migration Vague, starting in 2010 and talked more in 2015, as more than 1 million undocumented people arrived in the Schengen area, is a complicated issue. The Schengen area is different from the EU entity. It allows the free circulation of foreigners within the member states. EU members are not necessarily part of the Schengen area. This crisis is still ongoing and will continue to exist with new issues arising, such as climate change, making it more and more difficult to sustain life in some parts of the world. That is why this documentary will focus on this migration crisis and how EU legislations are impacting everyday undocumented people coming to the EU in hope for a better life, but also how this issue is a political one and a tool for countries to pressure the European Union. This documentary aims at providing a better look at the politics of migrations and legislations and how they're applied in practice.
Now that we have figured out some key elements, let's move to Greece and meet Dora and Theo, the coordinators of the Youth Center of Epirus, as they see firsthand the consequences of EU policies on the question.
Yamas. Thank you, Dora and Theo, for taking the time today to speak with us. Just a brief recap, you are an NGO called the Youth Center of Epirus. You are located in Ioannina in Greece and you work with asylum seekers. So can you tell us more about the NGO, your activities and its missions?
Yes, of course. So Youth Center for Epirus is a local/regional NGO. Actually, it's a non-profit company located in northern Greece. We have been active since 2011 and we are officially registered since 2015. And the last years we work in 3 different departments. One is Europe Direct Information Center, which provides information to European Union citizens about their rights, opportunities, and it connects them with the European institutions. Then the other department is Youth Department, which works with international youth projects and youth worker projects. with some research and innovation projects. It organizes local activities based on culture or non-formal education or just interests of young local adults. Provides a lot of volunteerism opportunities, both here in Greece and in other countries. Sometimes we also organize some large-scale annual events such as music festivals or parades, apart from some smaller events like seminars or training courses. And then the third department is Asylum Seeker Integration Department, which is active since 2020 in our organization. In that department, there are actually two main projects running since that time, since we opened the department. It's connected with hosting asylum seekers here in Ioannina, both in urban area and also in rural area and smaller accommodation facility. We host both families, adult individuals, and unaccompanied minors in different types of projects. And we provide, apart from housing, like food, safety, security, referral to health services, to governmental institutions, and some safety and protection providing organizations, depending on needs of each individual. And of course, also legal assistance, which is one of their priorities, definitely.
As an NGO, do you know about some difficulties that asylum seekers might have encountered while coming to Greece?
There are a lot of difficulties that refugees facing during this journey, starting from his country and trying to find a place where he could be more comfortable and safe. It can be the journey itself, how to travel, when there is not even transport. Maybe on this journey it will last a month, it will last 2 months, it will be by walking, not even with any transportation. Other kind of difficulties then when they arrive in the country, it could be the accommodation where they will be hosted. If the place will be a camp, it's going to be a facility like a building. Most of the times when the first waves of migration started, it used to be camps. Then if we think also of other difficulties from the procedure of applying for becoming an asylum seeker, you know that this, we call it bureaucracy, it's a lot of time, so there is a lot of time that they are waiting for their documents to be approved. Other difficulties is communication. Of course, they come in a country that they don't know no one and nobody knows them. And of course, they don't speak the language. Yes, there are some NGOs also that they are trying to help all this situation by providing them translators. But imagine all these millions of people that passed and having less of lack of translation also. So there is a big issue, a difficulty, we can say also with the communication.
Yes, maybe I can add definitely also health conditions of them, because they have had really difficult journeys in very different ways, as Flore mentioned. Maybe that have caused some physical health issues, or they may have had physical health issues in their home country and they couldn't get help because of the war or different kind of situations in their countries. And then at the same time, this whole journey and experiences they may have had can be very traumatic. So also the psychological health is usually quite difficult for many of the asylum seekers. And these are also some of the services that we provide, and all these issues we are trying to address from the point that we receive the asylum seekers.
Do you feel useful regarding your work within the facility?
Yes, we do feel overall, definitely. We're proud to say that our facility is evaluated as one of really nicely managed and active facilities that provide really good conditions for the teenagers that we host. And we always try to provide them additional opportunities, not only the minimum required for their well-being and for living in such facility, such as non-formal education. We do their volunteerism activities with volunteers on a daily basis, and most of the beneficiaries are really engaged in those activities. Maybe Theo can mention more about this activity.
I could say actually more in general that everybody in the organization, every worker, his role is unique in order to help all the beneficiaries, even the ones that are in the facility or the ones that live in the apartments. Everybody is doing his best in order to provide the best services also for them, for their well-being.
Can you give an example of a project within the youth center that the volunteers are currently doing?
What we do with our volunteers is that we go daily in the facility where it hosts unaccompanied asylum seeker minors, and we are doing activities. So we are there every day for 3 hours, and we are trying through non-formal techniques to teach them anything that we can think. At the same time, another with the topic, it's about content creation, where we're trying through our social media to spread the news of the situation of immigration, so people will be aware of.
Have you seen an increase of the asylum seekers that are coming in Greece in the last few years, and how did the population react to it?
Statistically speaking, this number has been decreased. Comparing also to previous years, it has been decreased and significantly. Less people, less refugees pass the borders or they pass through our countries. And yes, this number has been, it's less than it used to be. At the beginning, okay, there were a lot of negative behaviors. People didn't really like to have refugees in their countries. Of course, it doesn't represent all the whole population, but it was significantly a high number of people that they didn't like refugees, with excuses that stealing their jobs, are in general stealing, like will have very negative effects in their daily life, etc. After the years were passing, and by watching also refugees walking around them in the neighborhoods, in the supermarkets, everywhere, this number, I believe also that it has been decreased. Like people know now who are the refugees, like that there are normal people like everybody. But without this kind of people disappearing completely. Okay, of course there are still negatives, and there will also be. But I think that in general, the whole environment is more calm at the moment.
Why are there less asylum seekers coming to Greece nowadays?
The official news just basically state that less people are searching for asylum in Greece. And of course, there are some other possibilities why people are coming less. And I think we can explore them, but there is not too much official information that we can discuss about.
So I think it's normal or logical, depending also on the situation of their countries, if they are still in danger or there is a war still in the countries or anything else.
Do you think that the issue is going to worsen due to climate change?
Yes, definitely. I believe that it's going to increase the numbers of refugees around the world. I wouldn't say specifically in Greece, but around the world, definitely. But actually, the predictions for the last 50 years on a global scale are suggesting that there will be a lot of people that will have to relocate, a lot of villages, towns that will have to relocate. Actually, there has been quite extensive research on that, about the situation that we may expect. And also, of course, it depends on each country's or world region's ability to adapt to new conditions and assist the people to relocate. So the countries that are less capable to do so, the least economically and industrialized countries, they will have the biggest issues, definitely, and that probably will create some waves of refugees. But of course, we cannot predict whether that's going to happen instantaneously or that's going to be a very, very, very slow process. Obviously, we cannot predict that, so we have to live and see.
I also think it's something more different. It's about climate change. The climate, I think, cannot change from one day to the other. It's from what we saw also now, it's not like the war. Like one day you are okay, and the next day you are in the war, so you have to leave immediately. So that's why you have a massive number of people moving.
And lastly, are there other elements you would like to add?
What could we add? Well, in any case, I think working and also previously volunteering with asylum seekers and refugees, it has slowly proven that societies can slowly accept presence of refugees, and it has also this time has proven that many refugees can be integrated in societies, and there can be also really beautiful results and outcomes because of that. And we definitely wish that more organizations would work with asylum seekers and refugees, and that they would hold up the standards of humanitarian work and try to do their best. And we are really thankful also for your project, that you're raising awareness about this topic and talking with organizations and people involved in the field, because raising awareness is definitely one of the main concerns, because we as organizations and as professionals and you as students, we have the responsibility of bridging this gap of knowledge and addressing the misinformation that obviously spreads around the world. We've seen that a lot, right? So if you would like to say something.
I think that Dora said everything. So yes, it's that the thing. It's nice that people should know, should be aware of, and also to prevent scenarios of misunderstanding and lack of information.
Well, thank you, Dora and Theo. Once again, you represent the Youth Center of Epirus. In Greece, you help asylum seekers with bureaucracy, housing. Thank you so much for the very needed work. Let's take a look at the EU legislation and policies with Christine Bertrand, a specialist on EU law, to understand the current situation. Good morning, Madame Bertrand. So, thank you for accepting our interview request. Well, we will start with our first question. In a will of clarification of the subject and popularization for the general public, could you explain us the difference between the immigration policy and the asylum policy within the EU?
Alors en fait, d'un point de vue juridique, les deux se séparent très clairement, puisque ce ne sont pas les mêmes articles du traité qui concernent la politique d'immigration et la politique d'asile. La politique d'immigration, c'est l'article 79 du traité sur le fonctionnement de l'Union européenne. La politique d'asile, c'est l'article 78. Donc d'un point de vue juridique, les deux régimes sont vraiment très distincts. En fait, la politique d'asile s'adresse à des personnes qu'on appelle donc des réfugiés et qui ont donc besoin d'une protection. Et c'est une politique qui est encadrée au niveau international par la Convention de Genève. La politique d'immigration, elle vise des hypothèses de déplacement, mais pour des raisons qui normalement n'ont pas de rapport avec une volonté d'être protégée, et notamment des déplacements de nature économique ou des déplacements de nature familiale, avec ce qu'on appelle le regroupement familial. Donc, a priori, les deux sont clairement distincts, à part qu'en pratique, c'est pas aussi simple que ça et qu'il peut y avoir en fait un certain mélange possible pour plusieurs raisons. La principale étant que quelqu'un peut se déplacer à la fois pour des raisons de protection et des raisons économiques. Par exemple, quand vous êtes dans un État qui est en guerre, vous pouvez avoir besoin d'être protégé, mais le fait que votre État est en guerre peut vous avoir aussi privé de vos moyens de subsistance économique. Et puis la guerre a pu vous séparer de votre famille, et donc vous pouvez aussi avoir besoin de vous déplacer pour des raisons familiales. Donc la séparation juridique des régimes, elle n'obéit pas forcément à la réalité du terrain pour les personnes qui sont concernées par des hypothèses où on est obligé de quitter son pays.
Can you explain to us the Dublin regulation and its issues while taking into account the migration vague of Greece and Hungary that has been happening since 2015?
Alors, le règlement de Dublin, il a connu d'ailleurs plusieurs versions, mais son objectif, c'est d'arriver à avoir un régime d'asile qui soit commun aux différents États membres. Et donc, son objectif, c'est de régler un certain nombre de problèmes, essentiellement trois problèmes. Le premier, c'est de déterminer quel pays doit examiner la demande d'asile. Donc, quelles sont les règles qui permettent de déterminer quel est le pays qui doit examiner la demande d'asile. Le deuxième point central du règlement, ce sont les droits que l'on doit reconnaître à un demandeur d'asile, pour essayer d'uniformiser entre tous les pays de l'Union européenne les droits qui vont être reconnus aux demandeurs d'asile. Et puis le troisième point, c'est la procédure, comment doit se dérouler la demande d'asile, avec là aussi une volonté de fixer des règles communes à tous les États, par exemple en disant que la procédure d'examen de la demande d'asile ne doit pas dépasser 6 mois, qu'elle doit se faire dans une langue que connaît le demandeur, ou si ce n'est pas possible, à l'aide d'un interprète. Donc il y a un certain nombre de règles procédurales qui sont fixées. Mais déjà en énonçant ce cadre, on comprend bien qu'il a été élaboré pour des demandes d'asile qui se font sur des flux maîtrisés. Le temps d'examiner quel est le pays qui doit demander l'asile, des hypothèses où on a un nombre de réfugiés qui est suffisamment raisonnable pour qu'on puisse vraiment respecter les droits et respecter la procédure, et qu'en fait ce texte est du coup complètement inadapté à des hypothèses où on a des flux de réfugiés qui vont submerger un ou des pays et qui font qu'en pratique ce texte-là ne peut plus être appliqué parce que les pays sont confrontés à trop de demandes pour pouvoir les gérer le respect du texte. Donc en fait la crise des réfugiés en 2015-2016 ou d'ailleurs aujourd'hui la crise des réfugiés ukrainiens montre que quand on est vraiment dans des périodes de très forte tension, finalement les textes cèdent face aux difficultés pratiques, plus peut-être le fait que les États sont plus ou moins enclins à vouloir réellement respecter les droits des réfugiés tels qu'ils sont prévus dans le règlement, mais même en admettant qu'ils soient de bonne foi sur ce plan-là, ils peuvent être en réalité en incapacité pratique de pouvoir réellement le faire.
To focus on the relation between EU and Turkey, why is Turkey putting pressure on the EU regarding the presence of migrants on its territory? And could you speak about the agreement signed between them in 2016 at the height of the crisis?
Alors, d'abord peut-être, pour replacer la question de la Turquie dans un contexte un peu plus global, il faut savoir que l'Union européenne signe des traités avec des États tiers sur les questions d'asile et de migration en général, avec le plus souvent deux objectifs: demander à ces États de retenir les réfugiés sur leur territoire pour éviter qu'ils arrivent dans l'Union européenne, et le deuxième objectif est de faire en sorte que ces pays signataires admettent les réadmissions, c'est-à-dire le fait de reprendre des réfugiés, soit parce que ce sont des nationaux du pays, soit même parce qu'ils ont transité par ce pays-là avant d'arriver dans l'Union européenne. Donc en fait, les accords UE-pays tiers ne sont pas spécifiques à la Turquie, mais existent avec d'autres pays. Alors spécifiquement pour la Turquie, en fait, l'accord a été signé en mars 2016, c'est-à-dire en fait très peu de temps avant le coup d'État, la tentative de coup d'État qui a eu lieu en Turquie et la répression des libertés qui en a été la conséquence. Alors, le principe de cet accord, c'est en fait assez classique, c'est de demander à la Turquie de retenir sur son territoire des réfugiés, en l'occurrence essentiellement des réfugiés syriens, moyennant une aide financière et moyennant la promesse d'ouvrir de nouveaux chapitres de négociations, puisque la Turquie a le statut d'État candidat officiel. Alors pourquoi est-ce qu'on dit que la Turquie fait pression? Eh bien parce que régulièrement elle menace en fait de ne plus retenir les réfugiés et de les laisser passer passer la frontière et donc arriver dans l'Union européenne. Et donc il y a une forme de chantage de la Turquie qui se sert en fait de l'argument des réfugiés ponctuellement pour faire pression sur l'Union européenne et pour obtenir des contreparties politiques ou des contreparties économiques en se servant de réfugiés comme menace et comme argument principal.
Last question, are there legislations or mechanisms considered for the future which would allow to bring a solution for the failure of the Dublin regulation?
Alors, en fait, il y a pas mal de projets qui sont sur la table et ces projets, ils ont été mis sur la table par la Commission au moment de la crise de 2015-2016. Donc, il y a tout un train de mesures qui a été proposé par la Commission à l'été 2016, mais sur ce sujet-là, on assiste toujours au même phénomène, qu'il s'agisse d'immigration ou d'asile d'ailleurs. En fait, la Commission propose des textes assez ambitieux et assez protecteurs, Et quand vient la phase de négociation avec les États, eh bien, on se retrouve avec une très grosse difficulté à trouver des consensus. Et du coup, ce qui ressort des négociations, c'est généralement soit rien, parfois, soit quelque chose qui est très édulcoré, très ponctuel par rapport à ce que la Commission avait pu proposer. Et à la fin du mandat de la Commission Juncker, la Commission avait fait un bilan de ce qu'elle avait pu faire, proposer en matière d'asile et d'immigration. Et en fait, de toutes les propositions en matière d'asile, aucune n'avait été acceptée par les États. En matière d'immigration, il y a eu quelques petites avancées, mais des choses quand même assez ponctuelles et qui ne changent absolument pas la donne, ni d'un point de vue juridique, ni d'un point de vue concret. Alors, la chose principale qui a été faite sous la nouvelle commission, la commission actuelle, c'est en fait la création d'une agence européenne de l'asile qui a été mise en place en janvier de cette année, donc c'est très récent, et qui est censée faciliter les rapprochements entre les États et aboutir à des procédures d'asile qui soient plus complètement et plus humainement menées. Mais ça reste quand même assez modeste par rapport à l'enjeu auquel on est confronté. Et si vous me permettez de terminer sur quelque chose qui va peut-être vous étonner pour une juriste, mais moi je suis convaincue qu'en fait cette question-là ne se règle pas principalement par les textes, mais elle se règle par une volonté politique. Et on le voit bien d'ailleurs avec la crise ukrainienne, où finalement on a autant de réfugiés ukrainiens qui sont arrivés en quelques semaines dans l'Union européenne qu'il y en a eu en un an au moment de la crise de 2015, et pour autant, alors je dis pas que ça se passe bien ni que c'est facile, hein, mais on les accueille. Donc on les accueille parce qu'il y a une volonté politique de les accueillir. Et donc en fait c'est vraiment ça la clé de tout, c'est cette volonté politique existe et à ce moment-là, à la limite, on n'a même pas besoin de texte, ou très peu, même si on a profité de la crise ukrainienne pour activer une directive sur la protection temporaire qui existe depuis 2001, mais qui n'avait jamais été utilisée. Donc on l'a quand même activée, ce qui est plutôt une bonne chose, évidemment, mais on aurait pu obtenir à peu près le même résultat simplement par les volontés nationales d'accueillir les réfugiés et de leur donner un statut protecteur pendant un an. Donc le vrai sujet, c'est comment faire naître dans l'Union européenne une réelle volonté entre les États de prendre en compte la question des migrations et la question des réfugiés et comment relier ça aux valeurs de l'Union européenne qui normalement devraient inciter les États à accueillir les réfugiés. On voit que c'est pas impossible en ce moment, mais on voit aussi que c'est à géométrie variable selon le lieu de départ des réfugiés, ce qui évidemment est assez attristant quand même pour la façon globale qu'a l'Union européenne de gérer ces questions.
Thank you so much for your intervention. I repeat, you are the director of the Law Institute of Clermont-Ferrand University and you are a lecturer in public law specialized in EU law. So now we are going to the Léo Lagrange Center to meet with asylum seekers that agreed to meet with us to talk about their journey to come here. The center is situated in Saint-Beauzire in Haute-Loire and has been operating for a few years now. They have been accommodating families in the past, but now they mainly accommodate men from different countries. Let's go meet Zabi Ahmad and Mostafa from Afghanistan.
Thank you very much for coming here to speak with us. We really appreciate it. To start, can you tell us where you're from and why did you choose to come in Europe?
We both came from Afghanistan and due to more difficulties and time on time problems, war, other countries put forces and send into Afghanistan Taliban, and many times we are treated, they gave for us warning letter while you're working with the NGOs, with government, due to this escape from Afghanistan, and choose Europe, stay and live, and study here.
So how did you come to Europe? What type of transportation did you use? Was it difficult? Can you tell us about that?
Our story is very different.
I came, at the first I came in Turkey, and after that I came to Greece. And after that I came to Italy. and after Italy I came to France. And I think it's about 2 years maybe. I don't know exactly how many long, and I think it's about 2 years to come here, and it was very difficult situation and difficult because every country they want us and we should come everybody. It's very difficult.
My story is very different from him. First, when I escaped from homes, the Taliban gave me a warning letter that this person, one times I didn't pay attention for their warning letter. The second times when they gave warning letter, after that they ambush, they put C4, they paste C4 on our house door. After that they destroyed the door. My father told me, you can go, you can escape with your brothers. When I escaped, my brother's story is very different. I came Iran, again the police borders and military, the people caught us there. They put us inside the jail about 15 days. All people, not maybe 1,000 persons. Again the deport. I came Pakistan again. From Pakistan to Iran, to Turkey, to Greece. About 4 months I was in Greece. I passed a very bad time in Lesbos Island, as you may know. You may have information about Lesbos Island. The security condition was very bad. Many times, about 15 times, they threatened me, they steal everything, my clothes, my pants, my telephone, my money. With knife, they attack on me, I saved myself. I go left, right, then I escape from there. Also, I come from Macedonia, then Kosovo, Serbia, Bosnia, Croatia, Slovenia, and Italy after that. After 1 year, I got information about my brothers. He lost his mind. He has more difficulty right now with my family. They don't have good times. They didn't have anything to eat. They are living in the mountain, in the whole of mountain. As you know, we come, our village, Méditerranée, is a very dangerous place. All houses, all rooms, all village are surrounded by Talibans. They are living in the mountain. I don't have exact information, right information about them. All people condition is very bad on there.
Regarding the destination country, did you want to come in France or did you want to go somewhere else?
My destination was here. Suddenly, I come here. One of my friends said, you can stay here. I worked many years with US, with American NGOs, ECOM, international organization, ECOM, CKAs. I worked there as translator. 7 years experience in offices and various offices. My destination was other place, but suddenly I came here.
I like to come again to France because I know not a lot of just the story about France and now. I was a student in university. I was away in another country. I know people I know about the law in France, about the civil law. I decided to come in France.
How are you settling in so far? Is it like how you expected it to?
As you know, this is camp. And music is not the place in which all people stay alive here forever. As when I graduated from economy, business administrations, and my desire is to go higher in studies, MBA for PhD. But in Saint-Louis, it's very difficult for me. There is no university, no schools. I like to study all the time, to learn more. But in the future, I highly thanks from French government, French people, and social workers. They gave us for both of us instead of refugee documents, and so we hired thanks from Emmanuel Macron. These people are very kind. French people is very kind, are very, very kind. We love, we respect. We have more respect for them. These people are very kind.
Is it hard to acclimate yourself in this new culture?
It's a little hard, but I am ready to face any kind of difficulties. It's normal for us. When a person leaves their country, they must be ready for facing all difficulties. He also knows more languages. I may speak 5 or 6, 7 languages. I can write, I can read, I can speak. But it's not too difficult for us. Our local language in Afghanistan are in Pashto. We speak both of them. Also Urdu, English, as my mother language, Turkish people language. Yes, also French.
Were you able to get paper or not yet?
I got paper here.
Okay.
Yes. Now we are waiting for our ID card and passports.
Okay.
When we get our ID and passport, we will start a new life.
And how was the process, like the procedure to get paper? Was it difficult?
It's not the same for all people, for all persons. For me, long time, maybe after 18 months. About 13 months I'm getting in here in Sambuzi. For some people after 2 months, 3 months. As you know, the current condition situation in Afghanistan is very bad. They're paying attention more to those persons who newly released demanded in and put finger after 3 months, 4 months. It may take time, but for some people it's different.
I think 8 or 7 months.
Okay.
For some people it's 2 or 3 months, 4 months, depending on the person. For some people, after 1 or 2 months.
About the future, so when you get your ID card and your passport, you're gonna study, you're gonna do what? Do you know which city you're going to go to?
The city we're going to select is timely speaks. Now I don't know where to go, what to do, but I may go Clermont. I may start working on the journey. For all people not the same.
I think we should do not long. It's a year and it's easy to go to another city. You can go out anywhere, but my decision is good.
Well, thank you Mustafa and Zabi Ahmad for sharing your experience with us. It shows us all the difficulties that you've been through during your journey, and that despite all the procedures and legislations that the EU had set up, the applications in practice are way more difficult than expected.
Finally, we are going to hear Agnès Rebuffel, an expert in terms of immigration and asylum who represented France at the EU during the migration crisis. So, hello, could you tell us a little bit about what were your duties in 2015 at the time of the migration crisis?
En 2015, ça faisait déjà 3 ans que j'étais en poste à la représentation permanente de la France auprès de l'Union européenne en tant que conseillère en charge des questions asile et migration. J'avais été mise à disposition par le ministère de l'Intérieur, mon ministère de rattachement, à ce poste parce que j'avais déjà acquis depuis un certain nombre d'années une expertise en matière d'asile et migration. J'avais beaucoup travaillé sur la mise en œuvre de la Convention de Schengen dans les années 90 et plus tard, j'avais été experte nationale détachée à la Commission européenne au moment où était élaboré le Code frontière Schengen. Le travail de conseiller à la représentation permanente consiste à négocier à la table du Conseil les textes européens. Donc en fait, je portais la parole de la France dans les négociations et je préparais, comme tous mes autres collègues des 28 à l'époque, États membres, 27 maintenant, je préparais les décisions qui sont prises en Coreper et validées en Conseil des ministres.
What were the principal measures taken at the European level to better manage the migration crisis?
Avoir en tête, et qui est important à souligner, c'est que dès la fin de l'année 2013, il y avait déjà des flux migratoires importants en provenance de Turquie qui avaient commencé à se faire jour. Ces flux migratoires en provenance de Turquie, ils résultaient des départs des réfugiés syriens, qui s'étaient réfugiés dans des camps du fait de la guerre civile en Syrie, en Turquie, au Liban, en Jordanie, etc. Et ce que tout le monde n'a pas forcément en tête, c'est qu'à l'époque, on avait déjà été averti par l'ONU du fait qu'il y avait un manque de financement pour que ces camps, pour que les gens qui vivent dans ces camps puissent survivre. Et que bien évidemment, ce type d'information est connu dans les camps. Et donc, les gens avaient commencé à partir des camps, donc dès 2013. Mais ça se faisait un peu à bas bruit. Alors, les trafiquants d'êtres humains, ils avaient commencé déjà à bien se réorganiser en fonction de ce flux. Et ils fonctionnaient déjà un peu comme des agences de voyage, et donc ils vendaient. Souvenez-vous aussi, il y a eu le naufrage de Lampedusa en septembre 2014, où il y a eu à peu près 300 personnes qui se sont noyées dans la Méditerranée. Cet événement dramatique a provoqué un effet de choc sur l'opinion publique européenne, et ça avait conduit l'Italie à mettre en place une opération de surveillance et de sauvetage en mer de grande ampleur. C'était l'opération Mare Nostrum. Et donc la tendance à la hausse des flux migratoires n'avait pas cessé de prendre de l'ampleur fin 2014 et année 2015. Mais en 2014, le gouvernement autrichien, qui n'était pas en responsabilité de la présidence de l'Union, mais tout État membre peut à tout moment proposer, sous forme de note en général, une initiative à ses partenaires européens. Et donc le gouvernement autrichien, qui devait être un gouvernement social-démocrate à l'époque, avait proposé une opération baptisée Safe Lives, qui consistait à inciter les États membres à effectuer des opérations de réinstallation de migrants à grande échelle à partir des camps de réfugiés, justement, qui étaient en Turquie, au Liban ou en Jordanie, de manière à faciliter cette migration qui leur paraissait inéluctable, mais faire en sorte qu'effectivement elle soit sécurisée pour ces personnes. Donc le phénomène a continué à prendre de l'ampleur. Et alors, qu'est-ce qu'on a fait dans un premier temps ? On a renforcé les opérations de surveillance en mer et de lutte contre les trafics. Et on a notamment renforcé les moyens de l'agence Frontex et amené les États de première entrée, donc essentiellement l'Italie et la Grèce, à mettre en place ce qu'on a appelé des hotspots, c'est-à-dire des endroits où les personnes qui arrivaient essentiellement par bateau étaient accueillies, on prenait leurs empreintes de manière à pouvoir les repérer et qu'elles soient enregistrées dans la base de données Eurodac, et qu'on puisse en gros quand même savoir à peu près qui rentrait et les orienter éventuellement vers des demandes d'asile. Donc ça, c'est les premières mesures d'urgence qui ont été prises, ça a été celle-là, essentiellement des mesures de surveillance et de contrôle à la frontière.
Would you say that these measures were up to the challenge? What lessons have you learned?
Il y avait déjà dans les textes des dispositions qui étaient prévues pour faire face à un afflux majeur de migrants. C'était en particulier l'article 33 du règlement Dublin, qui prévoit effectivement la mise en place d'une organisation particulière entre l'ensemble des États membres pour mieux juguler ce flux, ou alors l'application de la directive de 2001 sur la protection temporaire, qui est d'ailleurs en application, qu'on a pour la première fois fait rentrer en vigueur pour la crise ukrainienne. Ces deux dispositions, à ce moment-là, n'ont pas été mises en œuvre. Elles n'ont pas été mises en œuvre, notamment l'article 33, essentiellement pour des raisons politiques. Compte tenu de la crise, en fait, un certain nombre d'actions qui étaient prévues plutôt pour le long terme, qui ont été mises en priorité, et en particulier la question des renforcements de l'agence Frontex, de la création d'un corps de garde-frontière européen et d'une évolution très rapide de ses effectifs. Je le souligne parce que, du coup, pour mettre en place ces mesures-là, il fallait modifier le règlement de l'agence Frontex pour modifier ses compétences, ses moyens, etc. Et là, Bruxelles, le Conseil et le Parlement, puisqu'on est toujours en décision sur les textes concernant la migration, ces deux instances ont battu des records pour adopter ce nouveau règlement de Frontex, puisqu'il a été adopté en à peu près 6 mois. Et il a amené notamment à ce que le corps européen de garde frontière passe d'environ 300 effectifs à 10 000.
Why do you think that there was a difference between how the migration vague was handled in 2015 at the peak of the crisis and today with Ukrainian migration?
Alors, je pense que le contexte et la perception du côté de l'Europe est forcément différente. D'une part parce que le conflit syrien en particulier, ça reste pour les Européens un conflit interne et qui concerne une région du monde avec lesquelles elle n'a pas les mêmes intérêts. L'Ukraine, c'est un pays complètement limitrophe de l'Europe, puisqu'il y a un certain nombre d'États membres qui ont des frontières communes avec l'Ukraine, que l'Ukraine, depuis donc les années 90, début 2000, des rapprochements importants qui ont été faits en direction de l'Europe de l'Est et de l'Ukraine sur le plan diplomatique et politique, et notamment avec cette perspective éventuellement de rentrer dans l'OTAN, ce qu'ont fait immédiatement les pays qui, eux, sont rentrés dans l'Union européenne, qui ont adhéré et qui sont rentrés en 2004. Et que donc ils se trouvent dans cette zone un peu tampon, j'allais dire, entre l'ex-empire de l'Union soviétique, donc la Russie, et l'Europe. Et qu'il y a bien sûr toute une histoire de culture commune au long des siècles qui fait que les États membres de l'Union européenne se sentent plus proches et concernés par l'Ukraine. En plus, il faut savoir que l'immigration ukrainienne vers l'Europe n'est pas d'aujourd'hui, que ça fait déjà plusieurs années que les Polonais accueillent énormément de ressortissants ukrainiens pour des raisons économiques. J'ajoute que le rôle de l'État membre qui préside l'Union européenne n'est pas neutre. Cela joue aussi sans doute dans la capacité de réaction rapide de l'Union européenne qui se passe à l'est de nos frontières.
So thank you, Agnès Rebuffel, for taking the time to meet with us. As you told us, you represented France for Immigration and Asylum from 2012 to 2018, which allowed you to fully understand these issues from within.
And now, let's summarize everything we have analyzed. The EU has established many legislations to manage the migration policy, but a consensus is difficult to obtain within the states regarding the difference of opinion, of interest, of capacity, of size of countries, and much more. On the political level, the arrival of migrants isn't correctly divided among the states because of its proximity with the Middle East. It is an issue that impacts some states, such as Greece or Italy, as they became overwhelmed with the quantity of migrants starting in 2015. On the human level, asylum seekers decided to leave their countries for many reasons, such as dictatorship, war, or for a better quality of life. Sadly, the Mediterranean Sea is well known to be the deadliest and the most dangerous sea for migrants. Since 2019, 20,000 deaths have been recorded in the sea. Therefore, some decisions can be made at the European level, such as to put an end at the Dublin's legislations, to create a new legislation managing the arrival of migrants equal among the states, to have stronger cooperation and negotiations among the EU member states and with its neighboring countries such as Belarus, Turkey or Russia. Eventually, the EU will have to face some new challenges. The crisis between Russia and Ukraine has demonstrated the reaction capacity of the EU, but it has to be reflected in the EU law. Furthermore, the complex question of climate change is a difficult one that the EU will have to face and manage through its policies and legislations.